US President Donald Trump on Friday said talks with Iran were ongoing without specifying any other details of his plans for Iran. He also said Europe would not be able to help Iran. Trump's comment came after the message from European foreign ministers in Geneva with their Iranian counterpart was for the US to join the talks with Iran about its nuclear program. However, Trump said Iran doesn't want to speak with Europe, contradicting statements from European and Iranian ministers. Trump said, "We've been speaking to Iran and we'll see what happens." He added, Iran doesn't want to speak to Europe, they want to speak to us. Europe is not going to be able to help in this one.
Did the Europeans help at all in talking with the Iranians?
No, they didn't help. No. Iran doesn't want to speak to Europe. They want to speak to us.
Trump said it is hard to request Israel to stop airstrikes on Iran, but the president said he might support a ceasefire between Israel and Iran depending on the circumstances. He did not specify what those circumstances were. When asked about the thought process behind his 2-week timetable, Trump said, and I quote, "Just time to see whether or not people come to their senses." Trump also said, "It's very hard to stop when you look at it. Israel is doing well in terms of war, and I think he would have to say Iran is doing less well." However, he said Israel's ability to destroy Iran's nuclear installations completely was limited.
Mr. Netanyahu said that they had the capacity to take out all of Iran's nuclear facilities. So what role would the U.S. be able to play, and why would they, if Israel says that they have all of the abilities, their own military?
I'm not sure he said that, but they really have a very limited capacity. They can break through a little section, but they can't go down very deep. They don't have that capacity, and we'll have to see what happens. Maybe it won't be necessary. Maybe it won't be necessary.
And when asked about Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard's assessment regarding Iran's nuclear program, Trump reiterated that Iran was just a few weeks or months away from possessing a nuclear weapon. She is wrong, he said in response to Gabbard's testimony before Congress in March that there was no evidence of Tehran developing a nuclear warhead. However, Trump rejected Gabbard's assessment, publicly contradicting his spy chief for the first time during his second term. Dr. Alon Bastin is a professor of political science, Israel Institute Fellow, Tufts University, is now joining us live from Boston. Dr. Bastin, welcome to the program. China, the UAE, and also the IAEA, and also Europe say Israel's attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities is a dangerous precedent. Why are these predictions or talks of hitting Fordo reverberating across Israel and America?
Thank you for having me. The big question really remains what will happen in Fordo. Fordo is the second most important site that Iran uses to enrich uranium, which is really the process that they need in order to reach a nuclear weapon. And while Israel has struck Natanz and lots of other sites, Fordo is buried deep into the mountain, and Israel, much like U.S. President Trump said, does not really have the bombs that could break through the some 80 meters of rock where the site is buried in the mountain. So all eyes are right now on what's going to happen, because Israel took initiative here to attack the Iranian nuclear facilities, but seemingly it did not plan on how it is going to, quote-unquote, finish the job with Fordo. It's relying on the fact that the United States would come in with its very, very heavy, big, what's called the mother of all bombs, that weigh like 14 tons, and attack Fordo. U.S. President Trump is wavering. He's saying yes, he's saying no, he's saying maybe, he's saying 2 weeks. He also said that Iran has to have unconditional surrender. Then he said that Iran is invited to the White House. We don't know what he's going to do. And so all these other countries, you said China, the EU, are all saying, okay, so what's going to happen now? Is the nuclear program going to be wiped out? Or did Israel carry out these attacks, but really didn't actually stop the nuclear program? So what are we doing here? So everyone's really left with a question mark this weekend.
Everyone is on the edge, indeed. Mr. Bastin, Iran reached out to Europe for negotiations or for a sort of compromise. And then Europe said that they want United States to be included in their talks or negotiations. But now Trump says that Europe cannot help Iran and that cannot help the situation at this moment. Your assessment of Trump's statement?
So until now, until the current war escalation between Israel and Iran was launched, there really were several different tracks of negotiations. After the United States pulled out of the nuclear deal, which Trump did during his first administration, Europe stayed in it. And then there were still direct talks between Iran and Europe, and they continued all the time on the framework of that original deal from 2015. According to that deal, they're supposed to have regular talks in order to continue negotiating and see what happens with the future of the nuclear plant. So that continued. So there's nothing unusual about this meeting between the Iranian foreign minister and the foreign ministers in Europe. That's been happening all the time. What is interesting is really the role of the United States, because Trump, once again, is issuing lots of contradictory messages. Trump said that he's tired of negotiations and does not want to negotiate, but he also keeps on saying Iran should come back and sign a deal quickly. Trump said that he doesn't want to talk to Iran. There was a report yesterday that his special envoy to the region, Steve Witkoff, has been speaking to Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, we're seeing him here, several times in the last week during the ongoing attacks. So I would estimate that there are two different things going on. Publicly, Trump is trying to show, I don't care, Iran has to come to me, they will have to have unconditional surrender, I'm not even going to talk to them, they'll have to beg to come back. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, it does seem that the United States is talking to Iran, is probably trying to come to some sort of deal that will let President Trump say, see, I've made sure Iran won't have a nuclear weapon ever, and then he'll tell Israel to stop the attacks. And I think that he wants Europe to not have a role. It's not true that Europe can't have a role here. Trump wants Europe to not have a role. He wants to be the one that Iran has to come to him in order to basically beg for this to stop, in his vision at least.
You've actually helped me there, because I wanted to ask, what is your prediction of the coming week? Forget about the 2 weeks that Trump has made, but you've made it clear for me, so I will have to leave it there. Dr. Bastin, thank you for talking to WION World as One today.
Thank you, and I'm glad I don't have to make that prediction. Have a good day.